was nothing, just lights in the trees, a trick of the frost, a ghost on the breeze.
I guess we're having all kinds of technical issues.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was bizarre. What a way to start the show. Hello to everyone that may be watching. All kinds of technical issues are going on. Did you guys? I mean, I've had a few issues today. Is anybody else having any kind of issues today? John, Chris?
Well, my computer was a little slow for a while, but we're live. I see it on my feed.
All right. Well, hello to everyone. Welcome to our preview review show. And before we even get started with this, guys, what the heck is going on with the Atlas shutdown, lack of information, even with the European Space Agency saying they've got stuff? We haven't seen anything. It's like been 24 hours. You would think there would be something by now, right?
You would think so. Yeah.
I mean, images coming from the ESA, anything. And I read a statement that NASA officials said that they're not able to release anything because of the shutdown. And once the shutdown is over, they'll be providing information. John, did you hear anything about this?
It's all locked down. I mean, you could use the excuse that our government, let's recap this, okay? The government is shut down for no reason. I mean, I'm not trying to make this political, but for the last 14 times, they haven't been able to get a budget in time as far as the funding and everything, and they just do a clean CR. Well, before they weren't even doing a clean CR. They were tacking on different things. This time, they can't even get a CR to extend it for 7 weeks.
Right.
And both sides are blaming each other, but neither side cares if it's closed down. Because ultimately, there's no panic in either side right now to open it back up. So then NASA creates a webpage 2 days before the shutdown, knowing that they weren't going to be able to do anything with it, right? If the shutdown took place, everybody knew it was going to happen. And now they won't talk about this at all. And
very bizarre.
The Europeans aren't talking about it. In fact, before we came on, I took a look. There's been no reports from any of the normal YouTube sites talking about anything.
I did a similar search, guys, and I found nothing.
It's completely quiet. It's crickets.
John, I thought yesterday they were supposed to have taken pictures of it.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the satellites up there were supposed to get a good look at it.
We did too, but we're just not getting it because they're shut down. But supposedly we got images too.
But why is the European government's not shut down? Why aren't
exactly? So why aren't we seeing anything coming from the ESA?
So I don't know. It's a conspiracy. I mean, this is how you start conspiracies. I mean, you have a span of a week. The military generals from around the world come back to D.C. for a briefing. Everybody believes it was just so Hegspeth could get up there and do his little rah-rah speech. Come on. They were being briefed on certain things, exactly what details that's going to be classified. But they were getting briefings on different things that using the cover of the rah-rah speech. But then the website, they put a website out, which was a big deal, that they were going to start tracking it live. And then they shut it down right away. And they're not going to talk about any of this while the government's shut down. And there's nothing on site right now when the government's going to open up again.
Yeah, I find it very peculiar that this is going on. The timing.
Well, they're now saying it's larger than what was expected.
Who said that?
It was on Newsmax with Avi Loeb. Larger than what it was expected.
So have you seen the pictures then?
Oh, probably. Because if you go on there are people who are saying that first images from Mars orbit, what's his name? Kaku or whatever his name is talking about the pictures, and he says scientists are terrified. I don't know what that means. Mars flyby completed as NASA stays silent. NASA shuts down as 3I Atlas reaches Mars. Massive object, 3I Atlas is headed toward Earth. Harvard professor. That's on Newsman.
Gentlemen, I don't know what's going on, but I'm live with you guys. But I don't know how this is working, but everything's showing I can't connect to my internet. So I'm going to step away from a second. I'll leave it to you guys. I'm going to reboot my router and see what the heck is going on. So I'll be right back, guys.
So, John, I mean, they're making a big thing about this 3I Atlas now. You know, they're putting stuff out that maybe it's going to hit Earth. I don't know.
Whoa. Now, who's they? I mean, is it just...
I mean, obviously the internet and stuff, but I mean, there's things that are on real news company. I mean, like, for instance, as I said, Newsmax is reporting. Let me pull her up here. 3I Atlas ignites just after massive impact. They had that on News Nation. Newsmax has a massive object. The 3I Atlas is headed towards Earth. Harvard professor says so. That's got to be Avi Loeb. Fox 32, 3I Atlas flies past Mars at 200,000 miles per hour. So, I mean, obviously you're going to get crap in there that, you know, is not true. They're going to just try to get clicks, but I'm just going to the news sources that say this, you know.
But what they've done, okay, this goes back to everything that goes on with, I say our country, but the world. Most people around the world don't trust their government, right? They don't trust that they're being told the truth. Yet, if the government doesn't report on it and give you some kind of idea what they know, then there's speculation going out, but no one will ever believe it until somebody directly from the government puts out some data. Now, that can be, you know, people that can come out and dispute it, you know, but most won't, that are working, that probably would know it was wrong because they're probably working, doing something with the governments. So the thing is there's just crickets from the rest of the world that have had a look at it, and our government's shut down. So, I mean, you got to start to wonder, you know, what is going on with this thing? You know,
I have no idea. I mean, you're getting all kinds of stories. I think they're going to try to. I think somebody's trying to start a panic. To be honest with you, John, you know, whether this is going to be an earth-shaking thing that ends civilization, I would have thought by now we'd see more happening with the government than what we're doing. I mean, let's face it, it's a pretty short time. So,
well, yeah, but they're moving troops into these different cities. They just had that meeting with all the generals. He called it an enemy within, which is what the press jumped on. But what are they doing? Are they preparing to lock down the cities? They've got a strike force now that can respond around the country on certain things. They're going into all these cities, these major cities, which they happen to be all blue. The majority of the large cities in this country are all run by run by blue mayors, and
John,
you know,
this would be a planet killer. I mean, why would you want to lock down cities if it's going
because but here's the thing, Chris. If it was a planet killer, you're right. We're all going to die. But the problem is, if it got out early, everything would collapse. So by the time it hit, there'd be nothing left anyway. I mean, look at what happened with Katrina in New Orleans. Everybody abandoned ship. The government, all the leadership left. The police abandoned their posts. Everything was chaos for 5 days until we sent the military in, and tried to gain back control of what went on. That was a hurricane can you imagine how people would act if they were told a killer satellite was coming?
Yeah, I mean, but let's face it. Sooner or later, if it is a planet killer, they got to tell. You know what I mean? You're going to see movement. You're going to see.
There's been a lot of movies though that they don't really say anything till the last 48 hours. They keep it all jumbled up and covered up until the last 48 hours. Then there's mass panic. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't want to believe that whatever's coming this way is going to be a extinct level event. I don't.
It's the size of Manhattan, and it's traveling at 200,000 miles per hour.
No, I don't disagree with that, but the path that they say it's taking doesn't come close to Earth.
Good. I mean, but you see, the problem is, you go on the internet, it's all doomsday stuff, a lot of it.
Well, that's what everybody wants to watch.
Right. And then it could cause panic. It could cause stuff that's happening. I mean, I'd wait until I hear something official before I go crazy. But, you know, getting back to the Green Veil, I mean, and stuff, or the Atlas, look, some people are thinking that this thing is an alien tech probe. And we've talked before that, hey, you never know. Maybe it's giving off a signal. Maybe it's giving off some kind of information that's corresponding with something that's here on Earth, right?
Well, remember what Javi said. He said that the area this thing's coming in is where the WOW signal was heard in 78.
Sure.
So at that point, we got a signal in 78. All right. So the bottom line was, what they haven't said was how close was this in 78? There's been no follow-up, no questions asked like, okay, well, where was this thing? If it's coming, it came from the same direction. Was it close to Earth in 78 and made another pass? Or was it, because it's interstellar, so when did it enter our solar system? Did it enter it and leave? Remember the last two that came in? They came in and did a U-turn and left.
John, you're keeping up more on 3i Atlas than I am. What are the strange anomalies to this thing that some people don't believe it's a comet?
Well, they're just talking about the makeup of it and the coloring of it. It's changed. And there wasn't a tail right away. And then there was plasma that started going around it and stuff. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but this is some of the people that are in the scientific world, including Javi Loeb, saying that this doesn't fit a meteorite or
Has it changed the direction at all?
No, not that they've said. It hasn't changed direction that I'm aware of.
Now there was talk about a signal coming from it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They did say that they may have got some kind of communications from it.
Well, last I knew, a comet doesn't give signals off. I mean,
no, it doesn't. That's what I mean. This is weird. I mean, this is kind of weird, but is it all being made up? I mean, I remember 2 or 3 shows ago, we had somebody come on and say it was all part of a deception that
Black Swan.
Yeah, right. And then remember, I call him the tool man, Corbell, came out in early January and said they were going to come up with something coming towards us. I think Lou Elizondo followed up a month later and said the same thing. And don't believe what they tell you. So,
well, they were talking about a fake alien invasion, weren't they?
Yeah, well, wouldn't this fit it? Interstellar objects coming towards Earth?
Yeah, but see, the thing is, unless they can get it to stop, slow down, or change direction or something, I mean, it's going to be tough for all these private planetariums that are watching it right now to go along with the narrative. They'll turn around and go, oh, wait a minute. It's still traveling at 200,000 miles per hour. It just passed us. And so it's on its way out, kind of a deal.
Yeah, but I guess that's the weird thing, Chris. What's what I mean by a complete blackout? No one said anything in the last 24 hours.
No, and that's kind of surprising too, John, because you would think that they'd be publishing pictures and stuff.
Or there'd be some site, some planetarium or somebody that's got a large telescope on their own that would come up, because I don't know because I don't have a telescope. I don't get into that stuff. But there was stuff on the internet that said that people with the bigger telescopes could get a view of this now. I don't know if it's true or not.
Well, they probably could, but I'd be interested to see what the other telescopes, especially the one that was going around Jupiter, that they were supposed to point to this thing, and try to get some pictures.
Isn't that supposed to be in next spring, right? The
No, I thought it
Jupiter
was supposed to be at the end of the month.
No, Mars. The way I've got the timeline was Mars was now the end of the month. It's going to disappear behind the sun, and then reappear at the end of the month from the sun and start heading for Earth. And then it's supposed to pass by the closest to Earth on December 19th.
And
then
how far away is that supposed to be, John?
I don't know. They said it was a huge distance. It wasn't a threat. And then it's supposed to go back, flip around and go back by Jupiter. And that's what they were saying in those hearings about 3 weeks ago, that they wanted them to move the equipment from Jupiter towards where it was going to go by Jupiter. But they had to do it then.
Most of the people think this is nothing more than a comet. I'm undecided because I've heard different stories. The one story that intrigues me is the signal, because if there was a signal coming from it, that tells me that it's just not a comet. I never heard of a comet giving a signal. Of course, I could be wrong, but I just don't see that happening.
But see, what I don't get, because I haven't seen Javi's interviews live or whatever, why aren't people asking certain questions to him about why directly do you believe this is what it is?
Well, John, that's a great question. And the only thing that I could think of is that a lot of these people that are interviewing Avi don't know much about ufology. I mean, you might have Ross Cohart at News Nation, but how many of these other correspondents, newscasters, podcasters, stuff really know anything about ufology? And they just ask basic questions, softball questions to get them through.
Well, I mean, but you ask a question, what are the chances it's something else? 4 out of 10. Well, that's not 100%, but it's almost 50-50. So it's like you're sitting on the fence and you're almost, is that Bill coming back?
Yeah, Bill's coming back. The old saying, and it came from the movie The Right Stuff, no bucks, no Buck Rogers. So you in order to get bucks, you got to have something there that people are interested in.
So I don't know. I mean, let's go into the chapter and maybe we can make some comparisons.
Are you back in?
Yeah, I can't. I want to apologize to those listening on the radio side on KGRA. There was just some weird stuff going on, guys, that I can't even explain. That's as simple as I'll put it. It's almost like this show was not meant to go on. I don't know what the heck just happened, but going back to chapter 10, because obviously we have a little insight what's coming for chapter 11. And it kind of hinted about the connection with Jack Barrett and his son Leo, which I found fascinating, that there's some kind of connection. Is it lineage? Is it genetic? Is it part of the DNA? And I think that's going to play a major clue moving forward. What did you think, Chris?
Well, there's no question that Leo, his son, plays into this, but I think it's the whole family. What's intriguing is that this was something that was planned. It wasn't an accidental thing. There was a conspiracy to plan all this because of the bloodline in the family. So with the particular bloodline in the family, everything was manipulated to have Leo. And then there was a strong connection between Leo and Jack that was needed in order to basically be a conduit in order to communicate or interact with the phenomenon.
But why is there such an importance to going back to the ancient lineage? I mean, that means that's giving us an idea that this is going back literally thousands of years. Why?
Well, I think John answered that easily because there is something to this story that says that from the past, something significant is going to happen in the future.
From what time period? In other words, were they here in we don't I don't necessarily know who they is. I still am trying to figure that out, and I'm sure we're going to find out as this draws closer to its final chapter. But what is it? It's not extraterrestrial, I don't think. Is it interdimensional? Is it those that are from the future? Or were they simply here before, early in our history, Earth's history, and have always had that connection to be where the signal is reawakened at some point in the future? Maybe when humanity is ready for that moment to take that next step in evolution.
That's a good question for John.
John?
Well, okay. I'm going to tell you a little story. Okay. All right. Are you both of you familiar with the movie Contact?
Of course.
Of course.
Okay. You do understand that Sagan had insight to what was coming. He worked on Blue Book. He was involved with Hynek. He believed in a certain thing. Then both him and Hynek backed away from it, from pressure from the inside. But then they put the movie Contact together. Now, the wow signal from 78 was what the movie Contact was based off of.
Wasn't that also Carl Sagan's? That was off of what Carl Sagan?
Yes, Sagan. That's what I said. Yeah, Sagan. Okay. But he was involved in Blue Book.
Right.
He was involved in the whole thing about what are aliens, what are UFOs. So he worked with Hynek on this, and they were both early on were moving forward with the thesis, and then they got stepped on from inside the government and had to back off. But then the wow signal happened, and Sagan, based on, and this is what I was told, everything that they were studying, learning, and had insight from, plus the wow signal, led to the movie Contact. Now, the movie Contact, most people missed what it was telling you. It was telling you way back when this movie came out, the threat of how we are advancing in civilization, and that there was people or other civilizations visiting for thousands of years, that they were coming through. What you had was, what was interesting was, what was the guy's name that was the billionaire? What was his name?
The old gentleman that had cancer or whatever.
Yeah, they had cancer. Yeah. Okay.
I can't remember, but I know.
You know who that is in real life, don't you?
Oh,
Robert Bigelow. Okay. Huh? He was this guy that was in this movie. I think his name was Haddo or whatever. I can't remember.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He was a billionaire in the space industry. What is Bigelow? A billionaire in the space industry. Right.
Could be talking about Elon. Could be talking about
what did Bigelow say in the 60 Minutes interview? They're here, they're among us. Okay. What did the movie Contact tell you? When she had her interact, first of all, it's the simplest way to explain time dilation. Do you remember at the end of the movie, after she testified in front of Congress and no one believed her, and they wanted her to recant her testimony, and the one senator that was pushing the hardest, after that was over, they gave her a grant and she was back there waiting for the signal again, right? But he had an exchange. I think it was a female. I think she had something to do with the Secretary of Defense or something, or Science or something. And she said, "Did you read the final report?" And he goes, "Yeah, go on." And she said that there was 28 minutes. I think it was 28
recorded
minutes
28 minutes
of static.
Right.
or 30, whatever amount, a large amount of static, or
Yeah.
22 hours of static.
Right. There was a time suspension. Basically,
Yeah, there was like,
she-
they thought she was only gone for what, 15 minutes?
15
But,
seconds.
or whatever. Yeah, but she was actually gone for almost a day.
Right.
That's time dilation. Okay. Now, what did they say when she met her father? It wasn't her father. She realized that this entity had the ability to change her perception on what she saw.
Correct.
It was able to, it gave off a perception to her to make her feel comfortable for what he saw, but it was not what it was.
Correct.
And it was here among us, and they used this way of travel for thousands of years, and other species have done the same thing. That talks about wormholes and that, because the machine they built was a machine that created a time dilation bubble and allowed her to travel in time. That came from the movie Contact.
Well, not only did they have the time manipulation, they also had an alien that presented himself or as her father.
That's what I said, but it wasn't her father, but it made her think it was her father, which is what could be happening with this particular type of entity. People think it's a biological being. No, it's something that can throw an effect on you to make you think what you think you see. Like, in other words, it can make you think it's something that you're familiar with or something else. But the interesting thing about all that is it goes back to what I talked about a few shows before, the God's helmet. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They put that helmet on people, and they put this frequency into their brain, and they thought they saw the creator.
But I didn't mean to interrupt you, Chris.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What is the intelligence? What is the source of this Echo protocol signal? What is the source? Is it coming from outward throughout somewhere, a galaxy within the Milky Way? Is it something that exists in our future and is tapping into our past? I mean, is it something that's using dimensional travel and the manipulation of time and space? But there has to be some semblance of intelligence behind the signal itself. Whatever mechanism works within that signal, there has to be an intelligence behind it controlling it, right? Or not?
Obviously, it's what we talked about. It's coming up in 11, but
we're just going to wait 11.
There's a split in consciousness. There's a communication.
Consciousness is left behind in the bubble.
Yeah, part of it is. Some of it. Yeah. They intercede the consciousness. They're able to view what's going on through, and then as we go along, it explains what's being activated, where it's coming from, why it was here, what it's doing, what's about to happen, and all that. And the thing that, like I said, that's giving me the what the moment is everything that I wrote. Now, guys, I'm going to say this publicly because I spoke with somebody the other day, and we had a long conversation about 3i Atlas, what it could mean. And I think we talked about this off air. Now, did you guys get a chance? What was the name of the guy I told you that had this vision?
Edward
Casey.
Yeah. He supposedly saw something happen in October 2025. Okay. I don't know. I just was told this is what he saw happening in October, right? But okay, the conversation we had is what's going on. Now, one of the theories is the sun affects everything about Earth. It causes earthquakes, it causes all kinds of things. One of the things that happens when we have these large solar maximums, these flares that hit the Earth, when they come back, when they draw back, that causes some of these earthquakes. Well, it's going to pop out around the sun right there at Halloween. What if it interacts with the sun and can create some kind of effect on planet Earth? Okay, that's a possibility. But what they asked me And I'm going to tell you this happened. And I got witnesses. I got two very reliable sources that lived with this through me. And it happened to me in March. And it was bizarre because this other person I was talking to said, there's been strange things happening with certain people that they can't explain. And they said, did anything happen to you in the time frame when you wrote it? In March, two things were going on with me that went on for a 7-day period. The time around me went fast every night. I would go to bed, my clocks would be set like at 10 o'clock at night. I would wake up at 7 in the morning, but my clocks would say it was 7:25, 7:30. And I worked with this guy inside government, and we were trying to figure out what was going on. He actually had me do a wind-up clock because he wasn't sure what was going on. Everything in my house all the clocks were changing now. It was the clock next to me in my bedroom, which was battery operated. I had a thermostat on the hallway that was controlled through the electrical system that was fast. So it would be set at the time and it would be fast. Now, each one of them didn't match the same time. So in other words, one might be 8 minutes fast, one was 12 minutes fast, one was 20 minutes. The clock on my oven was fast, the clock on my microwave, and reset them every night. We did the wind-up clock, and it was fast the next day too. And the other thing that went on, when I touched the thermostat to reset the clock, I shut the whole electrical system down. And then later that day, I was messing with the TV and I shut all the TV down. It completely went offline. Everything went offline, including my internet. And it was because when I was touching things.
You did that to me tonight. I'm just saying, my God, everything just went crazy.
No, it happened. This really happened.
I'm just being...
What I'm getting at is then I wrote this book. Right afterwards. And Toby and Warren, the owner of KGRA, came back right before I wrote the book. And Toby knows all about the time stuff. He knows all about the book, what was written, and what's in it coming up that matches what's being reported on 3i Atlas. You guys know what's in 12, and it's stunning, right? All this was written right after I had these effects.
That's unbelievable.
Which even the guy that I was working with inside government said, I don't know what's going on with you, but this is unexplainable. And there was something that was causing time at night to go faster around me.
Without giving too much away about 12, it is incredible when you told Chris and I off air about what you did in May working on this.
Right.
And it was before all the information was publicly known about 3i Atlas. And to hear the connections, I cannot wait to see it. But I was taken away. Chris, what was your reaction when he told us about that?
There's a whole big theory about 3i Atlas, and John has a good theory about it. I mean, let's face it. It's a huge mystery right now. But the thing that I'm curious about with 3i Atlas that John and I talked about is it setting off a signal, and is the signal being received here on Earth by something that's maybe underground? And if the signal is connected, is it going to do something with mankind or humanity?
It's interesting.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's interesting how it's coming on the elliptical. It's coming in that way into our solar system, which is, it's pretty remarkable in itself that it's coming in that way near our planets. So if something, wouldn't it make sense to activate something from a distance, a safe distance, to activate some kind of a transmission to, I will call it, receivers here on Earth? Because like you said, Chris, it could just be as simple as that, sending off a signal and things that are already here, including individuals like John. It also affects.
3i Atlas is a giant remote control.
Yeah.
Sends
And
a
it's
signal
in the
to something in Earth.
Well, but you guys are forgetting what they said about it. I have no way of verifying this. They said it was around before our solar system existed.
It's over 1 billion years old.
Yeah. And it's now coming into our solar system. And yet, here's one of my first questions that I would have asked Javi Loeb. Okay, the wow signal may have come from this, right? Where was this when the wow signal showed up? He's implying in his own indirect way, whether it's deliberately to put the truth out to see what people are do, or just something else is going on. He's implying a lot of what the movie Contact was about, what this particular piece that we're talking about that I wrote is about. It's falling into that realm of that what's going on. Now, again, I had that weird stuff happen to me in March that I can't explain. I've got witnesses that know it happened. I wrote the full 22, and then I rewrote the last 11. Was it 12 through 22? I rewrote, right? But it was overnight. I went to sleep and I got told to write it. But I started writing it right. I decided to write it and felt I needed to write it right after I had those weird things happen to me with the time. And you can't explain the time. What would cause all your clocks to go fast?
Yeah, that's
over a week's period.
It would sound to me like some kind
really
of
strange
anomaly, something that's making everything go haywire.
Yeah, I mean everything was, and not only that, but whatever I did when I touched electronics, it was my garage door too. It shut my garage door off. There was stuff that I was doing that was shutting my electronics down, and they all know this. I've showed them proof. And then it went away. It just stopped, just like that. Bam, it was over.
I don't want to get too personal. I don't know if you're comfortable with this, John. But what about your son? Is he having also experiences on his own?
No, he's not. There's nothing going on with him right now other than the Charlie Kirk thing upset him. Right. And he felt like he could get into politics to help make a difference, which is not normal for him. He wasn't the type of person that wanted to go out and knock on doors and, do public speaking and stuff. So, I mean, you could say he changed a little bit, but it happened with Charlie Kirk. But that's the other thing, though, that's going on that's kind of faded away pretty fast. There's a movement going on across the United States and the world after he was killed, going back to Christianity.
Well, that's true, John. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. They are resurfacing and rethinking about Christianity. But also, because of this, of Charlie Kirk and everything, there is a segment of society that wants to destroy the Christianity movement.
Right.
So now you have I don't know if you want to call it a spiritual battle, but you want to call it some kind of battle because it's gotten to the point where people are getting hurt or killed from it.
Look what history tells us. It's been happening for thousands of years.
Yeah, I put something up on my Facebook page the other day about if you were born in 1900, what people went through from 1900 through 85. They went through 2 world wars, that flu that killed all these people. All these things went, Vietnam, Korea, all this stuff went on. And never mind the protests and everything else. So it's been dramatic in humanity. But back then, Christianity wasn't under the gun.
No, but we're
Christianity that just started in the last decade.
Yeah.
Where about 2014 or 15 is when Christianity came under attack. And there's always been animosity towards the Jews, but that's like tripled. That's tripled. Like,
this is the only time in history other than the Civil War for our nation to have such an ideology split. During our Civil War, we had such an ideology split that we went to war over it. Brother was killing brother. I'm starting to see the same ideology split here. If you kind of look at things, which makes me believe that there's a possibility something will intercede. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be aliens. I don't know, but certainly, if they have an interest in this planet, they're going to do something before we kill each other.
But what if it's not alien?
Interdimensional?
I mean, what if what we're dealing with is it's almost like an NHI consciousness on such a superior level?
Suppose it's us in the future.
That's what I'm saying. There's too many. And wait, now that you touched on that, there's something you said. One of you said this, and it triggered me. You said part of the consciousness was still in the time distortion bubble, right?
My part of my consciousness has been revealed now, stayed back in the future.
Is it there because that's its connection to the person that exists now to keep that connection going? Have part of it existing in there so that it's still connected?
It's explained. It's explained coming up. It's exactly why it happened.
I would think that it would be a conduit. I mean, this consciousness in there would be sending signals out. I'm kind of think no, John. So your consciousness is not picking up any signals.
That's not. You're not wrong about that, but that's not why it did what it did. It was the beginning. No, it was the begin. See, I don't. Okay, you got me in the corner. Back there was the beginning of the change. It was way back then the change was starting to happen, going forward to where we are today.
Time out. Stay there. Did you have any memories? Because you said you engaged the John of the future. Was there any hints of John in the past?
Okay, this is where it gets dicey. Okay, this is why I wrote it the way I did, but I wrote it not because I thought this 3-eye atlas was gonna. Guys, I'll be the first one. If all of a sudden everything falls almost into place from this what was written and what we're talking about, I'm not going to sit there and say I knew it was coming. I'm applying to something strange happening before I wrote it, had me change some of it afterwards. But at no time, I'm not going to sit here and say, if this follows through and really starts to really play out in real time, I had no thoughts that this was going to happen this year. I just felt based on everybody I encountered, everything that was told to me, all the research I've done on the technology that we're working on and what we're trying to do with it and where everything's going, that somewhere in the future that something like this could take place. And not exactly as I wrote it, but there would be a defining moment in humanity where all this would come together and we'd have to decide what's going to happen, whether we survive or not.
Okay.
But all of a sudden in July, it's changed. It seems like what I wrote is really starting to take place for real right now.
Well, hypothetically, though, if it doesn't, and if it's just a comment, does that eliminate the possibility that this will not happen in the future in some other type of event?
There's stuff in there that'll probably happen, yes, but not exactly like the timeline seems to be playing out, though, is what I'm saying. Right. There's no doubt. I took all the technology, everything that was exposed to me, talked to me about, shown to me, different briefings I had, all this stuff that went on, and I wrote it. So the point being is, you could call it recall. There's the fact that somehow I wrote this and it's all starting to play out. There's stuff in this that I've just found out, some research off the other book I'm working on through governments that I'm doing FOIAs with, that actually match up to what's in this science fiction book about the communications part and the lattice part and everything else, that we really have the technology that I'm talking about in this science fiction book. How did I know this? I just now have been able to do enough FOIAs to get documents and stuff to put some of this other stuff together. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if this is going to play out a lot like this book comes through, but I will say whatever's going to happen now, there is an awakening coming, and some of what's in this book will eventually take place. Yeah.
John, can you talk about the character in the book, Leo, the son?
Yeah.
Because Leo now plays an important part in this whole thing.
Sure. Because that's what I was told by these scientists. these people inside government. I was told they did our DNA, they did an analysis through a reputable lab in Pennsylvania. I've got the reports, and this is what Nolan, Green, and some of these other people came back with. So based on what they told me and what I could do the research on, I put some of this out as a hypothetical that what the bloodline they were looking at the people's bloodline going back pre-Christ. That's not made up. They've openly talked about this in interviews.
Right.
There's a bloodline out there. There's a bloodline they were searching for.
What is special about the bloodline, though?
It goes back to Christ.
Okay, but how does that?
Do you remember the movie? It was Angels and Demons. But what was the first one?
The Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code. The bloodline of Christ splits. It's not a typical bloodline. It creates a new bloodline. So it continues the forwardness of the divine. It's the bloodline is a divine bloodline, allegedly. And what they talk about, it's a different type of bloodline than normal bloodlines. I'm not saying this is real. I'm just telling you what I've been told, what I was shown, and different things and different things that have come out.
Chris, before, because I don't want to interrupt you, but put this in. I'm just this is all hypothetical, of course. This is speculation. What if, and this is controversial, what if Jesus had a connection to the signal? How do we know he didn't?
How do we know? You're right.
Well, you're gonna find out as we go forward, guys.
Oh, don't even go there.
We're gonna find out.
It could bring everything together.
It could. But here's the question before we go forward with other questions. Do you really believe Adam and Eve is how we became on Earth?
No.
Do you believe that, Chris?
Yeah.
You do?
There is evidence of life before that.
I am a spiritual type of person. I believe that there was a power creator that.
Okay, that's one thing to believe in a creator, but to say that it started with two and spread all over. I mean, that's a little much for me. I think a lot of it is metaphorical. I think a lot of it is for teaching principles, morals, etc. Yeah. Not to make this about a religious thing, but
it has to be. Everything is out of whack. The whole world is completely out of whack right now.
Well, I think John is right, Bill, because if you look at the way the Earth is going right now, the planet is, it's similar to what's in the Bible. Remember, the human race was at a tipping point when Jesus came down.
But how old is the Bible?
What's that?
Well, the Bible, the Bible, I don't, listen, this is my point of view. From the time I can ever have remembering my conscious thoughts, I've never believed what I was being told about the Bible as being real. I never felt
thousands of years, literally.
I never felt that what was being preached to us was real. I believed that, well, you go back to the Council of Nicaea, they got together way back, like corporations do. How do we manipulate people? And they figured out how to take religion and manipulate people and control them going forward. That was the initial beginning of manipulation and control. You have to research it. It's real. Read about it, what was written about it. And they've used religion for thousands of years to control the man. But how do we know everything they're telling us is real? How many rewrites of the Bible have there been? How many documents are hidden? And why? And wait, one other question. Why did one side of the world come over and completely destroy the other side? They completely destroyed the Native American culture and their beliefs and everything else.
I will say this, Chris. I'm a Catholic. Confirmation, communion, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I am a person of faith. I believe in the Creator. But at the same time, I'm also open-minded and logical to think that from a human perspective, from just looking at the literature and the time frame of it, and knowing, I mean, they dispute the science however you want to carbon dating or whatever it is, that life has existed here for hundreds, millions of years.
Yeah.
So, to say it was started with Adam and Eve, well, that to me, that's like a little naivete there, because if you look at Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, I mean, the early stages of humankind, I mean, it predates even when the Bible was even a concept.
But let's go past all that. Let's talk about the name of God. The name of God. The United States believes, the Christian people in the United States believe, first of all, why are there so many religions? Number one. And number two, why is there always wars fought on religion? And then you go over to the Middle East. I've been there. I've been on the ground there. That is the most evilest place where the most wars are fought, where religion is supposedly started, where Jesus came on the earth and all this stuff went on. That is the most evilest place and the most horrific place for war. And then not only that, but one culture completely decided the other culture was wrong. And then we continuously do that in our own beliefs in this country. We go around the world in the name of God and tell other people how they have to live based on our beliefs in Christianity.
All right. So here's my two questions.
Okay.
One, were there other civilizations besides us on this planet? I even though I'm spiritual, I still don't believe that we were the first civilization on this planet. Okay, I believe that we've had many civilizations on this planet because the planet's what, 4.6 billion years? A lot of civilizations can come and go in 4.6 billion years. That's number one. And number two, look at the way the world is right now. And agree or disagree with me, I've never seen such turmoil in my life. Never. And I mean, you talk about Vietnam, you talk about World War II, you talk about all these different things. We have never seen in the United States or in other places what's happening right now.
Well, World War II, 76 million people died, and it was good against evil. So there was a defining moment at that point, but there were two sides. Now it's fractured. There's a lot of fracturing going on.
But you're right what you said. There was a good and evil. But now you're looking at, and I agree with you with the fracture, but you're looking at different sects that the civilization is separating.
That's what the Hopi said was going to happen before we went to the next, before the blue star Kachina showed up, and we went to the next level of evolution, our consciousness, the fifth dimension, which is what they talk about when you go by level, is your consciousness change, which is done by the frequencies. They talked about all this was going to happen. You go back and look at their prophecies. Everything that's going on right now fits their prophecies.
Also in the Bible, in Revelations, I mean, there are people out there now talking about rapture. So even in a biblical sense, people see this as the beginning of end times. Like this is the beginning of the apocalypse.
It could be the beginning of what we are now will change. But here's something to think about. This rock that's coming towards us, whatever it is, the pyramids, all these sites, what you're asking me in this, the green veil, what if it's coming here to activate all of those to change the frequencies and the mindset and to go forward?
But will it change anyone, or is it about acceptance of an individual to
Why
accept?
do you think these scientists were studying the mind, the DNA, and everything else? Because they know something's coming. Whatever they know that there's going to be some kind of change coming. And they want to be ahead of it, and they want to be able to utilize it as a weapon.
Chris?
I agree with the weaponization part. I'm looking at this and saying that there have been certain civilizations, certain tribes, however you want to say it, that probably have a greater knowledge and a greater idea of what's going on than we do now, because we have been put in a place where there's so much disinformation that we don't know. But you got to remember, years ago, like the Hopi tribe and stuff, you didn't have disinformation. You didn't have, stuff. You had lectures that were being handed down from generation
Oral
to
tradition.
generation
Yes.
of what exactly is going on. So right now we are confused, very disinformation species, whereas the simpler species, the simpler times had the correct information. So did the Hopis get inside information? I believe they did. Did Edgar Casey get inside information? I believe he did. Today you're being bombarded with stuff that doesn't make sense, or you can't wrap it around because one person is against the other.
Well, it goes deeper than that. We've lost our inner ability to think logically, but also what people fail to understand is what the movie Contact talked about, what this book is talking about now, is the evolution of technology has altered our ability to think clearly.
But John, it goes deeper than that. I'll say it talks about the evolution of a species, because they didn't make contact. They didn't give us, in the movie, they didn't give us the plans, the ways to communicate with them, or to build something that would allow us to meet with them until we were ready. Because remember, his key words were, I didn't come up with this. We didn't come up with this. This has been here for millions of years.
Yes.
And so it's been handed down and handed down and handed down. And so we're on the cusp, for the movie portrays us, we're being on the cusp of taking that next level of.
But why did that happen though, Chris? Because we had people in science figure out how to advance it. The problem with it is, it's not the fact that we're not learning these technologies and how to use them. Two things. We don't want to use it for good. A lot of times we want to use it for manipulation and control and power. But the other problem is the rest of humanity ready for these advancements?
There's always going to be a segment of humanity that are not ready for this advancement, that will take certain advancements. We've done this hundreds of times, taking something that's enlightening and an advancement and turned it into a weapon.
Okay, but what's going on right now very well could be NHI is communicating to us through AI. So that's how the communications is taking place. We ask it questions and it answers it through AI. And it learns about us through AI, okay? And that's the way the communications is taking place.
Sure.
Right now.
So let's say the signal is AI, and
Yes.
that it's controlled by NHI,
Yes.
which is gathering information to see what we're all about, to see if we're ready for the next step. And I think that part of it was, in order to do that, in order to make the connection, in order to see you, or I should say Jack Barrett and Leo, were the conduits for the communication.
Well,
You
you're
have to
getting
have
close, but
communication.
here's what you're missing. The open communications would be NHI establishing itself on Earth in 1980.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're still have to make that connection. What I'm saying is that.
But we did. It's in the whole. It's in right up till 11. The connection's been made, and the people behind the science that were studying this realized that there was a connection from NHI, and how it can be used to advance. Unfortunately, again, it goes back to what we do. We don't take it and say we're going to make the Earth better. We take it and how can we control, manipulate, and destroy things.
Yeah. Sadly, yes.
And that's why we're lost as a species.
No, we're not. As you and I, Bill, the majority of people aren't lost. We have allowed people to take power that have led us down
And
this
don't you think
path.
that's lost if we allow others to control what we do?
Isn't that the way we were? Isn't that the way we were taught and groomed?
No, John, I honestly believe there was a certain point in time where people were making their own decisions, that were questioning government, were questioning society, were questioning things, and it got lost.
Hmm.
I remember back in the 60s, I remember back in even, at the late 50s, people questioned things, questioned them a lot more than what they're questioning now.
Right.
People wanted to become a better species.
Well, gentlemen, we're running out of time.
Well,
So-
guys, if it was this, the last two have been good. Wait till the next 3 or 4 chapters drop.
But before we leave, a couple of things. Want to give credit to Keith Kirlock, Beck's Creek Soundscape Studio. There's the website. He is pretty much the man behind the scenes, the content creator, putting all of this together for all of you and all of us. And also Rose City Sound Project. There's his YouTube channel. Make sure to check that out. And my last question to you guys: you think we'll have any information next Saturday of any of this data that came back from Atlas?
That's one of those crapshoots. But here's the thing, though, guys. If I was a man that wanted to see if things are going to happen, I'd start checking out these ancient sites.
Yeah.
What's going on at the pyramids?
Yes.
What's going on in these other ancient sites? Is there any kind of things going on right now that lead you to believe? They just said the Shannon Renaissance, I never say it right, has changed. They came out right before the government shut down and said it changed. The modulation happened to it.
What about Rendlesham itself?
After COVID, well, a lot of the people that used to go out there have passed, and others got sick. So there's hardly been anybody going out to Rendlesham. The couple people that I've heard have gone out there said there's strange stuff going on in Rendlesham. There's strange stuff going on in Skinwalker. There's strange stuff going on. I definitely seen there's a lot of weird stuff going on up in Sedona right now. That's I'm seeing pop up everywhere.
Mm.
Okay. And some of these other places, never mind around the world, what are we seeing in the sky? They think they're drones, but what's going on with all the drone activity and everything?
Let's see how, hopefully the shutdown will end quickly, hopefully. And if so, let's see how fast NASA gets its act together and gets this information out to public. And ESA, if you're listening, can you give us some information? Can you provide on your website some data, some photos, some images, anything? Because it would be logical if you guys would like to take the lead on this, right? Wouldn't you want to beat NASA and put out stuff before NASA does to be the ones that everybody's looking at? I think that makes sense, right? But where is it? Nowhere to be found. Crickets, like John said. Crickets. Silence. Where's the data? Where's the information? It should have been available by now. There's no way it shouldn't have been. Why? What's the holdup? What's the holdup?
Well, let me ask you, Chris, how often is the government not come forward right away if there's nothing really there? They almost immediately come out and say, we're fine. This is what it is. Don't worry about it.
Yep. Confirmation.
Yes. But they're not doing that right now. No one is. No one
What I'm
is.
worried about, John, is they're going to use this as a black swan. Maybe Jeremy Corbell is right. Maybe others who are saying this is going to be something. Because remember what Werner von Braun said. He's been right on a lot of stuff. He says we're going to see this happening. We're going to see terrorism. We're going to see this, and he says, and then we'll see an alien.
The threat from above, right? Well, what did Reagan say in the UN speech?
Yeah. What would happen if we were attacked by a whole nother extraterrestrial? We would unite.
Yeah, but you guys know there's other people out there that are saying this is all part of a false flag globalist conspiracy.
It is. And how are we going to know? How are we going to know?
See that, and you're right, John, because that puts stuff in people's mind. Let's say a hologram comes up tomorrow of Jesus. There's going to be people say, "Oh, that's a hologram, that's fake." But then there's going to be people who say, "Well, maybe it is right." Exactly. There's always people who are going to say, "Maybe that was real."
I'm not in this, but I want you to think about something right now. If they did this, the elite would lose control. They would lose control because they control us by money and power. If they came and said there was a threat coming, how many people would unite or how many people would panic?
Yep.
And if the monetary system collapses and all chaos breaks out,
Yeah, but
they lost
over the
control.
monetary
Yep.
system.
You're right. He's right. Control gone out the window.
Yeah, but
It's
suppose they
gone.
take over the monetary system.
How
'Cause
can they
China's already
control it?
done that? China's already taken over people's monetary.
No, I'm talking about nobody's going to go to work. Everything will stop. There won't be any food. If you think COVID was a problem or they had issues with food and everything else, if everybody else just said, screw it, the aliens are coming, I'm not going to work, what's going to happen then? This is an uncharted territory. No one knows for sure what would happen if it came out that there was something else about the land here.
Suppose the elites turn around and say, we can save you, but you're going to have to do it our way.
Chris, before we wrap, I have a thing. You and I will figure out if something's coming. We'll find the highest mountain. We'll hang out. And we'll have
A couple of lawn chairs, a case of bourbon, and a whole lot of ice cream.
I know you got the ice cream. I got the booze and the cigar. I want to go somewhere up in the mountains. Out in the middle of nowhere, sitting up on the mountains and watching the chaos.
I wonder if we can order a couple of pizzas. I wonder if they did deliver. We can get a couple.
We'll ask them to pop some pizzas.
Like we were talking off air, like in 2012, the guy Woody Harrelson's character, he's on top of the mountain and he's like, oh, he's live streaming and.
Can you imagine them finding our bones? One guy with pizza in his mouth, the other guy with a bottle of booze.
And the cigar stub,
a mouthful of ice cream.
Yeah,
funny.
There you go. All right, guys. Next week, let's see what happens.
I apologize to those at the onset for all the technical issues, and thankfully we were able to do a show. And thank you all for tuning in, and those listening on the radio side. We will be back next Saturday. Hopefully, we'll have more information, and we'll do a review preview again. And I want to thank all of you and, of course, John Burroughs, Chris DiPerno. And we'll see you next week. So make sure to tune in. Don't forget Thursday, Chapter 11, The Blood Vault. Make sure to check it out because you hear what John's telling us. We got to wait, but it's coming. It's like literally now it's really coming. 11, 12, this is it. This is where it's going to really start to come together, I think. Anyway, blessings to everybody. Be well, be blessed, be safe. We'll see you next week. Have a great night. We're out of here.